there, horror fans, how's it going? I'm your host, Douglas here at Drum Boy Productions, bringing you another Screaming Ghostface Collector's video. And guys, we have another exciting one today. We have a package from our good buddy Nate Reagan over at Reagan Productions. Of course, most of you already know who Nate is, but if you don't, Nate was like the original Ghostface guy. He has an insane collection still, but all the things that he's owned are just absolutely incomprehensible. So many props from Screams 1, 2, 3, 4, and even the newest movie. That being Scream 5, not Scream 6. He doesn't have anything from that movie that hasn't even been released yet. At least that I know of. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Regardless, none of that's in here that I'm aware of today. But we do have some really cool stuff from Nate that I'm excited to share with you all. Everything here was traded for, which I'm super stoked about. And there's also supposed to be an extra gift or maybe two in here that Nate tossed in. So I'm excited to check everything out and see what we have. Alright, there's some really cool stuff in here, and I see a couple of extras, so let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, this first item is kind of a weird one. Most people are going to wonder, why would you even want this or trade for it? But it's kind of a cool piece, and I think it makes sense to have it here in the collection. Here we have the original telephone voice changer, Ghostface voice changer, from Scream 1 box. This is not the complete thing. As you can tell, it's missing the voice changer itself. Nate kept the voice changer, but he was looking to part ways with the box. And I do have an original voice changer still sealed in the other style packaging that was offered. However, this one has got to be my favorite. This is what I like to call the robot fuck you, because it's pretty obvious here. You have a hand that looks to be a robot hand, and he's flipping the bird. He is. Check it out. On the back here, you have an image of the telephone voice changers as well as a little bit of info on it. It says, changes your voice to a new and unfamiliar voice through the telephone. Produce new and unfamiliar voice to answer disturbing telephone calls. That's kind of the same thing, a little bit redundant. Make funs with your friends through telephone. I guess I should be a little bit forgiving because it is made in Taiwan, but still pretty funny. It's a pretty simple box, but it is nice to have both style packages for the original voice changer from Scream. Next up, we have some items that go together, so I guess I'll do both of these at the same time. We have an original Ghostface hidden horror candle, as well as a Ghostface Scream candle holder set. Most of you watching are wondering, Douglas, why would you even want these? You already have them and in much better condition. And that is true. However, these came not only directly from Nate's collection, which is pretty cool to me just as is, but these were also featured in an official article on Scream merchandise in a magazine that I'm about to show you. This particular issue of Horror Hound is pretty popular, pretty well known, mostly because of that Basil Gogos inspired Ghostface there on the front that's just so sweet. But inside, there's a pretty awesome centerfold here, but also a great article that was written by Nate about the masks, as well as, or maybe he didn't do that one. I think he did. Yeah, it is. It's credited to him. The History of the Mask by Nate Reagan. So that's in there. Plenty of cool info. And then we have all of this information here on these various different sets. And so many of these items that are featured here, I now own. This particular image of this Scream Stalker costume insert, that was used not only in this magazine, but in the Still Screaming documentary, and it hangs on my wall right over there. So here it is. There are a couple of other things framed with it currently, but if you were to take all these different little folds and wrinkles, all that damage, and compare it to the image in the magazine or the image in Still Screaming, you'll notice that this is that exact insert. And you can also look at this CVS sticker up here that's of course printed on the insert, and it's also featured there in the magazine as well as in Still Screaming. The same thing can pretty much be done with the Scream candle holders here. If you look at the upside down Walmart sticker, probably the biggest, easiest giveaway, or any of the damage to the package and compare it to the magazine, you can tell that it's the same thing. Also, I guess, looking at the magazine, the Walmart sticker is a little bit covered up, but it's for sure the same one. Also, of course, the hidden horror candle featured is the real deal. However, that one was not quite as damaged whenever it was featured, so it's not really noticeable in the magazine. I do believe the same could be said about this box. I'm not 100% sure, but I know for pretty much all the merchandise that was featured in this or Still Screaming, Nate used examples from his own collection, and what he didn't have, he asked other collectors for. Yep, I just compared it, and looking at it, this part, the hang part, unfortunately, it got ripped after that image was taken. But if you look at the damage on the underside of that hang tab and compare it to that image, it all matches up perfectly. I know this stuff isn't absolutely crazy, guys, but it's still pretty cool. It has some official Scream history to it, and of course it came from my friend Nate. So I'm really happy to have these, and let's move on to the next stuff. I thought about showing you guys the extras next, but I think instead I'll go ahead and show you guys the meat and potatoes. The main reason why you're here, at least what I'm going to use to clickbait this video, we have a very, very special piece entering the collection today, and I'm so excited to show you. As I mentioned earlier, Nate is an OG collector. He's been around for a long time, and he has helped out a lot of people in the community. Of course, included in those list of people is Fun World. And due to that, Nate has been gifted some incredibly cool pieces by Fun World over the years. This is a very cool one, and it's my first prototype Ghostface piece to enter the collection. So I'm extremely excited to share with you all this prototype Fun World Ghostface bust. Check it out. This thing is pretty awesome. Most of you are probably looking at this and thinking this is incredibly underwhelming, it looks pretty damaged, it's pretty beat up. And unfortunately, it is damaged. However, this thing is still incredibly cool due to the history that it has. This particular sculpt of the bust of Ghostface was done right around the Scream 4 era, and it was used for several different things. They did the small stone bust versions as well as the normal, like this versions of it. However, a little bit different than this. And they also use that same sculpture, I believe, for some headstones, or they're called pathway lighters, not headstones. What am I saying? Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I'm pretty certain that they used a smaller version of that sculpture for those, and I think there's a 3 set of them. This, however, like I said, a little bit more unique and a little bit different than what actually got produced. Let me show you. Unfortunately, I do not own one of the original black and white versions to compare them side by side, but I do have the even more rare creepy stone bust version. Pretty awesome. But as you can see, it's essentially the same exact thing, except this one's a little bit textured and it's painted like stone. Well, there's also another difference. A pretty large size difference. Now, yet again, I do not own one of the black and white versions, but I'm pretty confident that I have seen at least one other collector that did have one of these and the actual black and white version that was released just like this, standalone, one piece, and they were the same size. So this prototype, I believe, is a larger scale version of what was actually released. And this also does have electronics placed in the bottom. However, there is no button on the front. I don't think that this was ever a completely finished piece. This was just something where they kind of like put the electronics in the bottom to, you know, prototype it. This is what it would look like finished. And I would presume that over the years of it being stored with RJ's various different Ghostface prototypes, masks, costumes, many types of merchandise that I'm sure we'll never see, this thing got a little bit beat up. The paint got scraped up and his chin got dented in a little bit. However, it was already damaged like this whenever Nate received it, so it hasn't been damaged since. But yeah, guys, I could not be happier. This thing is so cool. My first Ghostface prototype. And also, I love the fact that it's kind of a statue of Ghostface. Wish it was in a little bit better condition, but I can't really complain. And if anything, the damage that it has makes it very unique and will make it stand out amongst others. I also wonder if the reason why they changed the size was strictly due to packaging. I could definitely see it being something like these are just a little bit too big to fit a certain amount of them in a shipping box, but if they size them down like this, they can fit an extra row of them in the box or something, so they just shrunk them down a little bit. I'm not 100% for certain. If anybody from Fun World is watching, please let me know in the comment section down below. RJ, I know you watch these videos from time to time. This thing is incredibly cool. I know I keep saying it, guys. I'm just so stoked to finally have a really cool Ghostface prototype here in the collection, and being that it came from my buddy Nate, I'm ecstatic. But enough going on about that. Let's go ahead and move on to some other stuff, starting with the extras. Unfortunately, there's no mask attached to these, but Nate did send me a couple of tags, and these are both tag variants that I do not have here in the collection. We have the Walmart orange Ghostface style tag. This is incredibly cool. This is an April-June 2010 era, smaller tag, which is pretty typical of Walmart. They always kind of did the smaller tags. It's got the Tricks and Treats branding, which I guess is what we should be calling this particular orange tag style, but we just call it the Walmart orange tag. And then it has the As Seen and Scream branding and an incredibly, incredibly small Ghostface logo here. And would you look at that? Only $5. Don't you guys miss the days about a decade ago when we could walk into Walmart and spend $5 on a nice copy EU? And speaking of which, it gets even worse with this one. Here we have an early Ghostface registered trademark black and red tag. This is also a foreign tag. I do not have one of these in the collection. I don't even think I have a non-foreign version, you know, that has like the metal rivet up here. I guess the eyelet would be the easiest way to put it. But yeah, it's a glow mask tag, it's a foreign tag, and also it has a reduced price sticker on it. Walmart, 95 cents. 95 cents for a nice black and red tag EU. Man, I miss those days. And to finish up this glorious haul from Nate, we have a stack of magazines with Ghostface in it. I don't have any of these, I've never read any of them, and I'm not really like so incredibly huge on collecting these types of things. However, one thing that I do love about this is being able to go back and read either how people were perceiving these movies before they came out, as they came out, or also it's always cool to read the history of the mask. Whether it be something Nate wrote, something Funworld wrote, something that was in the news that surrounded somebody that worked at Funworld. There's just been so many different versions of the story of the mask, and it's changed so much over the years that I think that that's incredibly cool. So having physical media of that, I really love. First up though, we have this Toy Fair magazine, which has the McFarlane Movie Maniacs Ghostface, at least I think that is, yeah, there on the front. Pretty awesome. Next up we have a copy of Wicked, where Scream 3 had first come out, and of course they're using this promo image, which, funny enough, is the McFarlane Movie Maniacs figure close-up. And, I don't know, I just find it kind of odd that modern day, there's been so many different products or even like official pieces, article-wise, magazine article-wise, that have used that image of the Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale Ghostface. It even appeared on the Handmade by Robots actual figures. It's kind of just funny how they're doing that now, and they also did the same thing back then with the Movie Maniacs. Next up we have a Fangoria, probably the best, spiciest magazine in this stack. And it has Scream 3 over here, but instead of using an actual Scream 3 promo image, you just have a bleeding mask image. Then we've got a copy of Entertainment Weekly on Scream 2. Look at those girls. They look so happy. Also, this font is kind of like a foil print almost. It's really cool. And on the back you got a smoking cowboy. Damn, that guy's cool. And last but not least, we have what I think is the most interesting and striking one of these. For sure the one that I'm the most excited to read. Another copy of Entertainment Weekly that has our trio on the front and says, The Last Scream. Horrors, the exclusive inside story behind Scream 3 and the end of the greatest slasher series of all. That had to be sad for people back then, thinking it was actually going to be the end of the franchise. And if that wasn't bad enough, in this same issue, Michael J. Fox says goodbye to TV. It's just terrible. No good news to be found there, but if you flip it open, you see a cowboy with 3 horses smoking cigarettes. That guy's even cooler. And with that being said, I think that pretty much covers it all. Nate, I have to say a huge thank you for the extras, a huge thank you for the trades. I like all of this stuff. There's some really cool stuff here, but of course my favorite has to be this, the prototype Ghostface bust. Seriously, man, thank you so much yet again. I greatly appreciate the gifts, I appreciate the trades, and also I appreciate the videos that you make and all the contributions that you've made to the Scream community. If you guys don't follow Nate's channel, I strongly suggest that you go check out his channel. He has some incredibly informative information. Wow. He has some incredibly useful information on many different aspects of the Scream franchise, the collecting world, whether it be cosplay or even action figures and such. Great content and a great dude, so I think you all should go check it out. You'll probably love it, especially if you like this video. And with that being said, there's nothing left to do but give you guys a close-up of everything featured in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Love you all. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.